In my last video, I shared how I spent $3,500 on Facebook ads, which turned into $50,000 of customer lifetime value for my agency. And this is my number one recommendation for anyone looking to make income online, whether you're trying to quit your day job or you've already got a few clients or a few projects, but you're trying to really scale up. Because honestly, we need to get over the passive income myth. Yes, I've had website projects which are currently delivering a decent income on the side. If I lost all my clients tomorrow, then I would be perfectly fine because of those income projects. But I can honestly tell you, for the vast majority of people, a service business is a much easier way to go. You ultimately end up with a much bigger reward for generally a lot less effort. Even if you're really good at SEO, it can often seem like an uphill battle to try and get this new website to rank. And while you're very likely to make a couple of $1,000s a month, it's actually pretty difficult, relatively speaking, to get beyond that. Whereas as soon as you have a service business charging anything from $500 to $5,000 per client, you can smash your way up to 20 grand a month, no problem at all. Now, of course, that's revenue, not profit. But certainly in your early days, you probably don't have a whole lot of staff. So the chances are your margins are going to be quite high and you can keep a lot of that $20,000 a month. So forget about passive income and just aim for leveraged income. If you're in a day job, then you don't really control your time, and it's very difficult to focus on maximum ROI activities because you'll probably find you're expected to do lots of menial admin tasks, you're just checking your emails all day. So no matter how committed you are, it's unlikely that what you directly do has that much of an impact on top line revenue and therefore your ultimate payout as an earner. So that's why most pay rises are only a couple of % per year, barely keeping up with inflation. Whereas I can honestly say some of the abundance I've unlocked, particularly in the last year or two, is all from compounding, where my success and my income is directly tied to the input I'm able to put in. And that keeps on compounding over time. I have mastered certain skills, I have built processes and teams, and all of that is now scaling up in a beautiful way. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I've made $6,000 in just the first 5 days of February without actually getting involved. I've got lots of my own projects going on the side. I've been in meetings with potential business partners. Obviously, I've got my YouTube videos to do, my mastermind to run. So broadly speaking, I am not that involved in the day-to-day operations of my agency, except for those few occasions when my team have a particular issue and I need to step in. Now, this is also the quiet time of the month generally. We tend to sell far more towards the end of the month. So even that $1,000 per day is towards the low end of my revenue. Then I want to get on to how we're really achieving this and why high ticket can actually be bad advice. Despite the fact everyone says always go for really high prices and premium clients, I say that depending on where you are in your business, there's a time and a place for that, but also a time and a place for other strategies. And with that, I'm going to give you a really clear roadmap of how you can actually leverage pricing to win, both to get your first couple of clients on board, but then to really focus on profitability and scalability. And with that scalability, then finally focusing on volume. Now, this is all in the lead up to my agency training course. If you click the link below, then you can join the waitlist to win one of the 10 free spots I'll reveal once the course launches. And even if you miss the free spots, then you'll be able to get that training at the best price it'll ever be. Because of course, this is going to be lifetime access to the course. We're going to be adding more and more modules and case studies. So if you like an early bird, a beta user, you can lock in that really early pricing before we add yet more value to that training. And here's a perfect example that I wanted to share today. It's now the 5th of February, and already in February, my agency has made over $6,000. And we can see nice consistent income every day. Now this is just an agency dashboard. I could have manipulated this however I like. So let's go into Stripe and get a real receipt. So we can see £2,200 today, only £300 yesterday. Current balance is £1,600 and I've got $1,500 on the way to my bank account. So let's go and look at the individual transactions and we'll see a mix here of both low ticket and higher ticket payments throughout the first few days of February. So this is really what I'm saying, why you can struggle to make a couple of hundred, maybe even a couple of $1,000s a month that's passive. You're much better off just making a bit of effort and coming up with a desirable service for businesses. And that could be anything to do with AI and automations. Recently, for one of my businesses, I've been dealing with a really frustrating live chat platform where people expect you to be there all the time and you're constantly saying the same thing over and over again. And I thought what I need to do here is just take all this historical data of all these chats that have gone on and then put them into an AI, connect that AI to the chatbot, and then I've got a perfect AI responder that's trained on my actual data. And to me as a business owner, that's the kind of thing that for me to build that myself, figure out how to do it, that's going to be a pain. Whereas if I could just pay someone $500 to $1,000 to just solve that problem, and you were there having done this a few times across various platforms, you've encountered all the issues, You've figured out the tweaks you need to make, and you're here with a simple product saying, we will take your whole knowledge base. We will take all your previous customer interactions. Maybe you've got an AI agent that can go through manually through all those conversation histories and copy that all into a document. So you end up with this ultimate SOP resource that's then the Bible for your live chat automation. So if I then give you my $500 to $1,000, within 48 hours, you come back to me with a functioning chatbot that's entirely trained on my data and actually works with a reliable amount of accuracy. Whereas if I did it starting from square one, it's going to blow up in my face. I've given plenty of examples on my channel just from an SEO standpoint. Despite all the threats of AI and AI searches, SEO is still a massive market, and agencies especially are really appealing to venture capital firms for a later exit or acquisition because they really value the recurring revenue you've got. It's quite rare for someone to sign up for an agency for 1 month and then disappear. So loads of opportunities out there. You could just specialize in Google Maps and getting local contractors up to the top of Google Maps. You could go down the PR route and start off with basic press releases, but then offer options for outreach and pitches and coming up with actual PR campaigns for a higher ticket service. So it really doesn't matter what your actual mechanism is. The overall structure you follow as an agency is really not that different. It's basically coming up with the offer, what is that deliverable that's valuable, making that delivery a process. Now, of course, it's going to be you handling that process originally, but then soon enough you should be able to hand that over to a team, and then it simply comes down to cost of acquisition and lifetime value. So how cheaply can you acquire a client, and then how can you maximize that lifetime value? And you can do that with order bumps, upsells, and retention. So when you first sell to a client, that's when they're in their maximum emotional state. They're ready to commit, they're ready to buy from you, and that's the prime time to hit them with another offer. I've done this with low ticket, I've done it with high ticket. If they're buying something for $500, then on the actual order form, on the actual invoice, give them another offer, this little order bump of $100 or so, because $100 is a tiny amount when you're already spending $500. And then after that, see if you can get them into an actual upsell that takes them to a higher tier. That's just standard logic across all markets, where you take your low ticket sale and make it much more valuable. So whatever ads you're running, your cost of acquisition suddenly diminishes because you've immediately doubled the value of that sale. But then for agencies in particular, it all becomes about this monthly recurring revenue and retention. If you get that right, and your average customer lifetime value is between $50,000 and $100,000, whereas most of your competitors are struggling to get above $10,000 or $20,000, then you can afford to spend so much more to acquire each client. And then the game is won. So the reason I'm sharing this news with you today is basically because I remember it. I was so thrilled when I made my first 10 grand a month in the agency. I wanted to get to that level within 6 months of starting the agency. I thought it would be amazing to achieve that by the end of the year, but I was struggling to get above $6,000 or $7,000 per month. And then I had one call with a prospect. I knew they had deep pockets. They were already pretty much sold on my entry level plan, but on our sales call, I was able to push them into a higher ticketed plan, $3,000 per month, and that got me well into the 5 figures perfectly happily. And that was only a few years ago, and I remember that struggle and the sheer joy I felt when I realized I signed up a 3 grand a month client and now make more than 10 grand a month. But as you can see here, I made $6,000 in 5 days of February, and honestly, I don't even do sales calls anymore, nor am I responsible for any of this delivery, because while I'm still an overseer, I'm still very much involved in quality control. Generally, I have my team and they're working with the processes I designed in the beginning and have continued to refine and optimize over time. But one key difference I wanted to get across to you today was basically 2 things, all to do with pricing. Because pricing as an agency is your ultimate leverage. Now, generally, lots of gurus out there will tell you, go with high ticket, stick to high ticket. So come up with your offering and don't accept less than 3 grand a month for it. And that can work, I don't deny it, but you're going to have to work very hard to actually sell that. And maybe you're getting to month 2 or 3 of your new business and you still haven't made that sale yet. Then things are going to get pretty scary. So first of all, let me propose to you an alternative to that. And that is being very bespoke and custom and basically lowballing your first couple of clients. So to make your first 10k a month, everyone's asking, how do I get those first clients? It's the ultimate $1 million question when you're at that level. And there's no real right answer. It really is whatever you can do. So I relied a lot on in-person networking. You can do organic Facebook posting using forums, communities, school groups. You can do cold email. There isn't really a right way to do this. But the point is you need to keep your costs low and just try and get that first 10k a month that's going to give you a lot more room to actually maneuver. Remember that so many problems can be solved with money. Money is not the answer to all problems and happiness. But as an agency owner, you're probably concerned about your skill. There's always this concern of, I'd love to start an agency, but I don't have the skills. if you're able to sell and you can get these early clients on board, you can then hire the right talent to fulfill those jobs. There's always this hesitation that surely the best talent out there is going to be an entrepreneur, one of my competitors. And it's just not true. There are real A players out there who want the security of an employment contract. And they just want to get up in the morning, do the work really well, and go home and not have to worry with the admin of actually running a business. That is your job as business owner. So as business owner, your job is to get the leads and sell those leads, get the cash coming in so that you can hire the right staff, and those staff can then fulfill a good service. But now, pricing. You're using these haphazard methods to try and get whatever clients you can in the early days. Well, in my case, it really was a case of lowballing the competition. So in my case, I went to previous people I'd worked with and I said, here's the offer I'm making. Now, here are some competing agencies in the niche that do pretty much a very similar thing, and they're charging 3 times the cost of what I'm charging you. That really is a no-brainer offer for that audience. So I really say, to get your first clients over the line, don't hold back from doing these really big, insane offers. Because remember, you don't have the overheads of your competitors. You don't have this big team, big marketing budget you have to actually sustain. It might be just you and a couple of virtual assistants. Maybe you've got some deliverables to fulfill. But generally, your overheads are low at this stage, so you do have pricing advantage. But then what I did, 6 months down the line, having had these clients on board for a while, I then realised my issue with cash flow and the difficulties with scaling. So it was at that point that I came in and said, we're not raising up to the market, the retail price, but we do have to increase the price slightly. Now, the reason pricing is so powerful is that when you raise prices like that, you might be raising by 50%, but your actual cost to fulfill that delivery hasn't actually gone up. So even though you're only increasing your revenue slightly, your profit is getting much bigger. Let's say it's costing you $300 a month to fulfill a $500 a month service. If you take that up to $700 a month, you might think that's only a small increase from $500 to $700, but actually you were making $200 a month profit, now you're making $400 a month profit. Your profit has doubled through a relatively small price increase, $500 to $700. And that's exactly what I did. I had my first portfolio of clients, got them in with an absolute lowball offer that was unsustainable, and then as I was ready to scale up, starting to improve, we had the process down, the service had improved a lot, then we could start bringing up the prices. Now it's up to you whether you want to do a special offer for your existing clients, or whether you just raise your prices for the new clients. That's generally the easiest way to do it, is each time you get a new client, the price basically goes up. And that way, you're not penalising your first clients, and you're locking them into that grandfathered loyalty package. So that also gives you some reassurance and security there that will help with retention. You've always got those early clients who are on absolutely unbeatable rates that will never be repeated. So that's the basics of pricing when you're starting out. But here's where it gets interesting, and it's taken me so long to get here, but this is why I'm sharing this with you today. You're going to get to a point where you do have team members and you have a funnel that's working for you. And in that time, you probably have taken the high ticket approach, where you've had leads coming in and you've said, we are not going below $2,000, $3,000 per month, and things are looking good for you. But you might actually find that your capacity has gone up significantly. If you've got this team of virtual assistants and then hopefully some more A-player staff managing them, and you've got all your SOPs, everything's documented, you've got this really good machine working well, and hopefully you've got a lead generation machine working as well that's delivering you lots of leads every month, well then you can't help thinking, why are we turning away these lower ticket sales? And what you'll often find with an agency model is the bigger you get, your margins get narrower and narrower. So I actually encourage you to actually revisit pricing and start looking at lower ticket, high margin products. And this is less than an agency offering and more of what's known as a productized service, where you're not doing this full bespoke custom arrangement. You're simply selling widgets. You're offering this very simple deliverable, whether it's a press release, whether it's citations, whether it's a batch of LinkedIn posts or a TikTok reel or a Facebook ad. If you've got your machine in place with your SOPs in place, then I'd encourage you don't have to stick to your minimum $2,000, $3,000 a month anymore. You can have a full menu of these simple products for $300, where all it takes is one of your team members, where the order comes in, they've got the SOP, they can deliver that for a low price, and you can maintain a really high margin for those particular products. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. You can see my higher ticket sales on the 2nd and the 5th, but in between, we've got sales coming in below $1,000, and these are now becoming much more regular because we're able to do volume. And of course, in terms of general safety and security, wouldn't you rather have a larger volume of low ticket sales than a small volume of high ticket sales? This is all assuming you've got the right team and you've got the right processes. If you're doing this on your own, this is a massive headache. low ticket services will bog you down and you'll never be able to scale. But if you are expanding, you have a team, you have the processes, so that if a $300, $500 order comes in, you can turn it around really quickly, and then that's job done. And you, the founder, can focus on getting more of the higher ticket clients through building the brand, improving your lead generation. Then that is a really powerful combination. And that's exactly what you can see here. So in the beginning, real struggle to get up to 10 grand a month and had to play around with pricing a lot. But now, more recently, not even the end of the first week in February yet, we're already up to $6,000. And a lot of that has been by revisiting that pricing flexibility, moving away from pure high-ticket systemized plans and into smaller, simple, low-ticket products.